how do I talk about the new version of me without sounding fake? So, this idea of sounding fake, I wanted to talk about this because a lot of people think that when they go on stories or when they go live, that they sound different than what they do in their everyday life. So I want to give you permission to sound different than what you do in your everyday life. So your presence and your video presence is how you show up without a script. I have notes and I've written scripts before. I did a YouTube channel where it was scripted and it's just not the vibe. Like people actually couldn't tell that I was reading from a script, and that's a talent. Like being able to read a teleprompter and still be natural is a talent, but I really wanted to connect to the present moment. I wanted my stories to be formulated in the moment. I wanted to channel. You don't want to spend 5 years perfecting the craft of story writing before you share content, because that's 5 years of money that you've just given to somebody with less wisdom and talent than you, because your clients are not going to wait for you to be ready. They are going to hire somebody else.
Welcome to the Conscious Creative Podcast, your weekly dose of soul to soul conversation that will have you saying peace out to your 9 to 5 to explore in your sacred calling. The topics center around conscious business and interviews with the folks who started them. We'll be exploring the art of being human and what it takes to live your life fully expressed and financially free.
Hello, spiritual entrepreneurs, you spiritual baddies out there. I'm so excited for today's Q&A. I have been putting those question stickers in my stories. I've been asking my clients what their burning questions are, and I've collected a a list of the most potent questions that I want to answer for you all here today. First, before we get into the questions, I want to dive into what the voice is from my perspective, because today's Q&A is all around activating your voice so that your best clients, your most joy to work with clients can hear your call. They feel like, speaking of voice, let me move my microphone. They feel like there's no one else that gets them like you do. They are already seeking out professional help. You are a professional, you're an expert in your field, you're great at what you do. They're already seeking some kind of transformation. They've been searching for the transformation that you offer, and asking, getting your voice being activated in that realm is going to help your people to hear your call. So you can have the best offers in the world and be so amazing at what you do. And if your voice is weak or your conviction is not where it needs to be, then clients are hesitant. Clients are only hesitant because you are hesitant, my dear. And so today's Q&A is going to clear that up. But let me talk a little bit about the voice in general, the way that I see the voice, the way that I see activating your voice, and what we're going to work on inside my upcoming mastermind called Edge and Embers, so that you know that I am not just going to teach you how to write, although you may have been reading my words. I am a writer, I'm a songwriter, I've written a book, but your voice is multidimensional. So your voice, and especially your creative voice, has 4 dimensions. And so the first one that we focus on in my work is storytelling. So your voice lives in the stories that you choose to tell. So I'll probably choose in the moment some stories that are moving through me, because that's a great mark of a teacher, is being able to pull stories that are relevant to the teachings so that we can give somebody a full picture, because stories they reach into the subconscious of our listener, of our audience, and stories pull people in, like we're pulling people around the fire. When somebody hears once upon a time, it activates in them a deeper resonance with you in your work, and it is time to listen. But the stories that you choose to tell, they can come to you spontaneously. You'll see some stories coming to me spontaneously, and I've chosen some stories here today. But you can choose stories actively before you go live, before you sit down to write, and you can choose a few stories that you continuously tell throughout your career that are aligned with the offers, the services, and the mission that you're providing for people. And you can bring people into your mission, into your values by choosing better stories to tell. So there are some stories that you might not feel like you can tell. And that was some of the questions that I've been asked over the last weeks as I've been diving deeper into storytelling in my 30-day magnetic storytelling challenge. We are in the last week, but we are going to go deeper in Edge and Embers, which is not just about storytelling, but it's about activating your deepest, rawest, most authentic voice and presence so that when you tell stories, people actually want to listen. So there's a combination of storytelling, and your voice is also about your presence. So you'll notice when you hear me speak that I don't sound like a valley girl. I also don't really have my Boston accent anymore. Like, this is partly because I've been traveling for the last 20 years. I left Rhode Island, Boston, and Rhode Island has a very distinct accent. I could turn it on for you. It comes on when I'm drunk, when I'm talking to my ma. And Rhode Islanders have no R's. We're like, hey, get the water. And Pakyaka and the Harvard Yard. I know you've heard of this before. And yeah, it's like my voice has been shaped by reality. And intentionally, I've dropped in to a voice that is recognizable, but not because of any accent. So I'm not going to ask you to like turn off any accents. Your accents bring you charm. When my accent comes out, there are a few words that, like, I'm not doing this on purpose. There are a few words that I just say, like draw. Like I cannot say dresser or drawer. It's draw. It's a dress a draw. And that's fine. I'm not trying to do anything in the moment. But what I have trained myself to do is be able to articulate words, phrases, so that my people can understand me. So I intentionally speak slower. And this actually came from traveling. So I'm a traveler. My main language is English. I was born in the States, but I would travel all around the world. I've been to over 30 something countries, and in different worlds and in different countries, yes, they speak English, but I'm not going to be understood if I carry on with this, very distinct accent, talking really fast like we do on the East Coast of the US, and using phrases that only people from my hometown use. So I've really gotten the opportunity to be in communication and conversation with people around the world. And from that, my voice got naturally trained to slow down, to listen, to look and see if I'm being understood. And this naturally carved a voice into me that was more understandable online. This also came from being a songwriter. So for me, I wanted the words to touch on someone's heart. Yes, I can sing. I'm not going to prove it right now, but we may be doing some singing in Edge and Embers. And I'm definitely going to be delivering my EP that I recorded last year inside of Edge and Embers and over these next months together. But more importantly is, yes, I can sing, and yes, I can play an instrument or two, but for me, storytelling and weaving people into the song was really, really important to me. So people would give me the feedback that, like, wow, there's a lot of singers that I can't understand, but I really like that I can understand the words. Because when we're connected to the words of a story, even if the story is in a song, then we feel more connected to the moment. We feel more present. And anytime that you can bring somebody into their presence, they're going to feel better. They're going to feel more alive. They're going to be present. So they're going to be actually listening. And all of that's really beautiful. And so you don't need to want to sing or know how to sing or even want to write songs to want to activate your voice towards your mission and attract better and more clients because of that. So, your presence and your video presence is how you show up without a script. I have notes and I've written scripts before. I did a YouTube channel where it was scripted, and it's just not the vibe. Like, people actually couldn't tell that I was reading from a script, and that's a talent. Like, being able to read a teleprompter and still be natural is a talent, but I really wanted to connect to the present moment. I wanted my stories to be formulated in the moment. I wanted to channel and feel like I was channeling and trust my voice, trust what was moving through. And this was built over time. And this is exactly what I help my clients to create within their voice so that they can feel more confident online and have their videos convert, whether they're doing a reel, whether they're doing a YouTube, whether they're doing a live on Facebook, whether they're going live on Instagram, whether they're going live on the TikTok. It really doesn't matter. You can tell I'm a bit older because I just called it the TikTok, but it doesn't really matter where you're showing up if you're not holding a presence of conviction in the power of your work. And if you believe in the power of your work, but it's not being transmitted in your video, meaning your voice is going high, there's always a question in your voice, you're not confident in the way that you speak, then your conviction and your belief in the power of your work isn't going to come across on video. And we just get to change that. That's exactly why I created Edge and Embers. So, a third dimension of your voice is your writing voice. And I love helping people to activate their writing because there will be days where you don't want to go live. There will be days where you don't want to show up on camera. And I have been infusing both forms of voice, both dimensions, all four of these dimensions of the voice, but I've been writing and speaking online for about a decade. Well, that's not true. So, about a decade I've been writing, and all my life I've been writing songs. So, I'm 41 years old. I know I don't look it. Being creative will keep you young forever. This is not a filter. But when I was early 20s, I started to write songs, but I had written a little kid's book when I was 5. I remember, or 7 really, but I remember my mom telling me that I could read before I went to school. And then when I got to school and in English class or whatever class, like kindergarten, second grade, we were handed these blank white books and we were told to write a book. And I remember just loving every piece of this process. I remember taking my crayons and drawing a beautiful cover. I remember writing the pages, and this book won an award sometime between 6 and 8. I got an award for writing a little kid's book. And it wasn't just a picture book. I remember the words to me being profound. And so I have had this impression of being a writer and having my words impact the folks around me, even if they were adult sized. And so it doesn't matter what size your audience is, really. If your words can impact one person and you can invite them into a deeper container with you, then you're in business. You are making money and being valued from your gifts, presence, wisdom, and your creativity. Because how do we really get your gifts, presence, and wisdom across to an audience? It's through writing and it's through speaking. And now I had this beautiful rhythm in my business where I went live once a week for my show. I have the Conscious Creative podcast, and I just keep it really easy. I record it live and then I repurpose it into a podcast. And then I was able to feed two birds with one scone because we are not killing birds around here. We are spiritual people. But the phrase killing two birds with one stone, like, why would I throw a stone at a bird? But I would love to feed two birds with one scone. And so I just kept it really easy for myself. And I created that rhythm and I got better and better and better at speaking online, at holding a presence, at holding people's attention for longer than 90 seconds. And I know a lot of you are frustrated with the way that things are going in the algorithms, and you want to be remembered for more than a 90-second reel that, is entertaining. And entertainment will grow your audience, but it's not necessarily the kind of content that converts. When you can hold people's attention, because you will need to hold their attention if you have a group teaching offer, if you have a one-on-one mentorship, you're going to want to attract people who actually want to hear your reframes, your wisdom, your coaching, your guidance. They want to hear the tools delivered in your voice, the way that you deliver them. Yeah. And so right now, you may be delivering reels, you may be going live and all of that, but if it's not converting to clients, then I can guarantee that one of these four dimensions is a bit off, could use an upgrade, could elevate you to high value guide status, being highly valued and recognizable for your work in the world, which is going to make your sales process much more enjoyable because you won't be convincing anybody. They will have already watched your lives or listened to your podcast or read your words and have been touched. Now, I really do invite that if you're only writing, to learn how to speak, and if you're only speaking, to learn how to write, because you still want to write your own sales pages and you want it to happen in your voice. And now there's different camps, so there's different kinds of people, and I didn't know that I was actually the minority in these kinds of people. So there are people that do better speaking, and when they speak they sound authentic, they're saying words that people use, they're really um, can hold a conversation with people. But then whenever they write, they start to use words like therefore and hereafter, and they write in a voice that is maybe coming from their more technical days. If you ever had to write a research paper, or if you had to learn proper English, or maybe you studied Latin, and it's all a language that is not going to attract clients if they can't feel you in these words. If all of a sudden you start to write and it sounds like a, somebody else's voice, a robot, ChatGPT, or a copywriter is writing your words for you. And yes, we want to infuse copywriting into our sales pages and into our posts, but it's not the whole post. If you go out there and you have a copywriter create your sales page for you, but you're losing the story, you're losing your voice in the process, then this is going to put up a wall and repel those clients that want to hire you, because they can't believe that you exist and someone like you is out there that gets them, sees them, and just wants the best for them and has the kind of medicine, wisdom, presence, and skills that you do. So the fourth dimension is speaking. So whether you're on stage or you're on your stories on social media or on a discovery call, your spoken voice carries a resonance already. And resonance is this scientific term. I learned all about resonance when I studied sound. So I was a storyteller, a songwriter, and then I studied sound, and I went around the world giving sound healings and songwriting workshops, and it was really, really fun. And I infused that into my yoga teaching. But yoga teaching in general helped me to get in front of people and speak to them with conviction. I also was in plays when I was young, and I'm not a world class actress like one of my clients is an Emmy awarded actress, and I'm so enthused that she would come and work with me, because there are different dimensions of the voice. And so she may have been and she is really, really great at acting. But when it was time to speak her truth, when it was time to write, the things got a little bit off. So it's not about, Edge and Embers is not about helping you to become a copywriter. Although I have cosmic copywriting principles that I teach to all of my clients to help you to find your stories in your natal chart, to help you to find where you might be deficient in a certain energy. So each planet has an energy signature. Each planet is a morphic field resonating with a certain energy. And so resonance is this scientific term that when one object comes in contact with another object and is making sounds, is vibrating. So everything on a quantum level and in quantum physics teaches us that everything is in a state of vibration. And so everything is already making sound. So when one object is vibrating and comes into contact with another object, they create a third sound that would otherwise not be possible. So this is the beautiful, sacred aspect of your containers, your one-to-one mentorships, but also your group environment, where you are the leader, you are carrying a certain resonance, you are carrying a certain frequency, and that is felt in the way that you carry yourself online and the way that you write. And because even the words that you're choosing, they carry a frequency. And then when it's met with your audience, then you two are vibrating together. And when I was in my master's level psychotherapy degree, we learned about the power of the container. And in a lot of healing containers, and coaching is a healing container, teaching is a healing container. Even if you don't call yourself a healer, I don't call myself a healer, but I help people to self heal. But teaching and being around a teacher is a very healing um, environment, because the relationship between leader and being led, the relationship between you and your audience is really sacred, because we're working at a vibratory level. We're working with resonance. So we'll unlock the parts of you that want to be heard, but we'll also unlock a deeper resonance with those parts of you that are being heard without you knowing. So the unconscious energy that you are carrying, we are going to look at that, unpack that, clean that up, and have you vibrating first in edge and embers, vibrating at a leadership level, so that you could go online and you could say 3 words and be felt. Your voice is going to drop, your voice is going to carry a deeper resonance, and you want to speak with the kind of conviction that moves people. So let's have some questions. I am I am here. If you're live, you can ask some questions, but I'm going to pull up, trying to see. Okay, yes, I'm live here. I got all my gadgety gadgets out so that I could actually answer your questions live. Yes, I am live, right? Yes, here we are. So if you're live, ask a question. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and ask a question, because I'll return to these questions and answer them personally for you. But I'm going to pull up some questions that feed 2 birds with 1 stone. Yes, words matter. I'm going to pull up some questions that have already been asked by my clients, which I love answering questions that have been asked by my clients, because people who invest in themselves just ask better questions. And I give reference to how you can ask better questions. So Tony Robbins says the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your questions. And so, in your welcome packet, when you join my offerings, you get some training on how to ask really great questions. Because if you can Google it, then why are you not already Googling it? And I am here to see what you might not be able to see and facilitate a deeper resonance in your voice, to facilitate deeper words, to connect you to the message that already lives in your heart, but that is the way that you're speaking it now is obviously not working if it's not working. I mean, if you are fully booked, then you probably don't need my work. But if you want to attract more or better clients, or clients that are in a new offering that you haven't spoken about before, then reach out, because Edge and Embers starts next week. Doors are closing soon. And I want to make sure that if you have any questions, that I answer them for you personally. So, one question that I've gotten asked is, I have so many stories. How do I know which one to share first? So, first, I want to say that you can weave stories into any kind of post. So, in my school, I teach a program called the Magnetic Messaging Masterclass. This can also be purchased self paced on my site, uh, freeyourcreativity.org/let's create. There's no apostrophe, but this can be picked up self paced. But in that messaging masterclass, and it's actually a bunch of classes, there are 9 different types of content pieces that I teach on. But within those types of content pieces, like the Mythbusters type of content, you could share a story in every one of these types of content pieces, and you are going to engage your listener, your audience, in a much deeper way, because story lands in the ancient part of our subconscious, of our DNA, and we are primed as a human species to listen to story. So whenever you start to tell a story, you're going to pull your reader in with much more depth, or your listener if you're speaking. And so, if you have so many stories, great. You can start to list them, you can start to unveil them. But when you intentionally have a few stories that are a part of your brand story, that you repeat in different ways, that you tell in certain uh, areas, like if you are doing a podcast tour, you can certainly, just like a comedian goes on tour and does the same act, you can certainly go on tour, go on a podcast tour, and share the stories that you've intentionally crafted inside of Edge and Embers. Now, there are stories that are better to tell. So there's an origin story, that's pretty good. But your story of transformation, that's the story that we want to tell. And I just ran a 30-day magnetic storytelling challenge, which I gave certain prompts. And many of these prompts are meant to extract your transformation story. And I noticed that folks were choosing stories that were speaking to the disempowered version of their client. So if you have so many stories, great. You do not want to tell every single one of them, because I can guarantee that a few of those stories that you have in your story bank, if you tell them, you're going to repel joy to work with clients. So let me talk a little bit about what are joy to work with clients and what are not joy to work with clients. Now, if you've been in the game for a while, then you have had several clients that you are like, please, Lord, I hope I never get on a discovery call with a client like that. They're clients that say something like, okay, tell me why you're the best choice um, for me to pick. I'm looking and shopping around for other coaches, and you need to tell me why you're the best pick. if a client is coming on your discovery call saying that, they either have not spent time with your content, which is a problem, and they're not the right client for you. Like they need to do their due diligence and look you up and look at your website and read your words and look at a few of your posts and lives and master classes. And that's on them if they haven't. But if you have those things and they have looked at that, then and they're still saying something like that, then it's a problem with your message. You're not sharing the kinds of stories that are attracting folks who look up to you as a leader in transformation. And so we are going to extract those stories, and not only extract those stories, but you're going to get practice telling them inside of Edge and Embers, so that you can be confident that your message in every single time that you go online, it is working to bring people closer to buying from you. And it is working. Okay. But I totally understand if you're like, yeah, I either don't get discovery calls booked, or when I get on a discovery call, I cannot believe that this person is there, because this is not the kind of people that I have decided to work with. If, like one time I got on a call with this man who kept hitting on me, and he was an absolute wackadoo. And what I did from there was I put vetting things in place so that I didn't have to waste my time getting on the phone with people that I didn't want to work with. And so, yeah, I mean, if you only work with a certain kind of human, a certain quality of human, folks who don't ask you to convince them of why they should invest in themselves, and you have decided to set a standard for your work in the world, that this is where your clients and your audience gets to meet you at, and you're still getting on the phone with folks that don't meet that standard, then let's tell better stories. So inside Edge and Embers, this is what we are going to focus on. We are going to extract only the stories that are going to speak to the most empowered version of your client, so that when they get on the phone with you, they say things like, take my money. They say things like, I've been wanting to work with you for a really long time. I've had you on my vision board. And these are phrases that my clients have said to me. And I'm like, wow, this is an honor. I feel so lucky, but it's not luck. I have intentionally developed my voice in a way where I know that the words that I curate on my pages, for my lives, and the words that come channeling through me unscripted are always going to pull forth empowered people who don't hem and haw over the decision for, until after the doors have closed, because it's more work for me to get somebody in after the doors have closed. I'll do it for the right people in the right situation. If they've come across a certain live, and the doors have closed, of course, I want to get the right people in. But like, there are people that are following you, following you, following you, and they're just waiting till last minute, not because they had to move money, not because they had to go get the investment, but because they're just waiting. But waiting is not the vibe. Disempowered people wait and wait and wait till last minute. And that's just how it is. So we are going to extract the words from you that pull forth the people in your audience that are ready to invest in themselves, and they just haven't found you yet, or the right version of you. And you can certainly change somebody in your audience from being on the fence to being completely shaking their head like, wow, you're the one for me, where have you been all my life, in a few posts, in a few stories. Okay. So then another question that I was asked is, what if I'm not a good writer? Can I still tell powerful stories? So just like I gave a little bit of insight in the 4 dimensions of your voice, writing is just one of the dimensions. But I would invite, and I will invite inside of Edge and Embers, a writing voice. We are not just going to work on your speaking voice, we are also going to work on your creative writing voice. Because I can tell you, like yesterday, I was nervous because I had a little scratch in my throat. And I was like, am I going to be able to go live? Am I going to be able to finish this launch for Edge and Embers strong, face to camera, using the power of my voice, or is my voice going to go out? And so, very beautifully, I used the practices, the energetic practices that I am going to teach inside of Edge and Embers to regain my voice, because the body speaks, the body has its own voice. And it was such a beautiful moment because whenever we are launching an offer, and I teach on launching, and I'll be teaching on launching in the next live program in my school. So Edge and Embers isn't really like a curriculum like my school. It's part of my school, but there'll be no curriculum, there'll be no homework checks. I'll be checking homework from my students that just finished up the Unforgettable Offer Incubator, and I'll be checking their homework. So if you want to join at the school level, you get a vault of everything I've ever created, and depending on where you're at, I will direct you to which program, which magical process. Each program is a magical process with 8 lessons and 8 steps that guide you through what I have called the creative compass, which is the symbol of the Enneagram. You may recognize this, but I've mapped up the hero's journey and all my programs on this sacred geometry so that all of my curriculum is backed by the universe. This is how freaking intentional I am. And this symbol also tells a story. And so, story is woven in the fabric of the world we live in. And so connecting you to story is my highest joy and um, my ultimate mission, for you to be able to activate your voice. I used to teach on songwriting so that people could sing out loud, and we could do a little bit of that. My Edge and Embers comes with my bonus 5-day soulful songwriting course and a few other courses, the messaging class, the freebie funnel formula where you create your freebie in 4 days. But there's not going to be a curriculum in Edge and Embers. It's going to be a lot of sitting around the fire of each other's stories, listening and being in a room full of storytellers, full of gifted, wise, incredible women. If a man wants to join, please message me. If you're the right man, let's go. But we are going to sit around the fire and weave stories together and activate our voices together. And there's going to be a lot of energetic practices, guided meditations. It's going to go really, really deep. And through this, we are going to activate our voice. And so I use these practices that I'm going to be facilitating in Edge and Embers. And my voice is completely healed, completely whole, feeling totally back to normal. And I was only out for like half a day. And I was really nervous that today was going to be a struggle. And through these energetic alignment practices, I healed my voice in half a day. And now I'm here telling you the stories, speaking to you, and answering these questions with full confidence and conviction in the power of my voice. But here's what I wanted to say. Say that that didn't happen. Say my practices didn't work. Say that there was something deeper that I needed to learn here. Um, and sometimes we got to write. So I have had launches. So I have launched, over 50 times, and I have created 5-figure launches a majority of those times. And sometimes I have gotten sick. And I am so, so happy in those moments that I wrote my entire email sequence because I can just press play on the launch. And maybe I didn't get to go live as many times as I wanted. And I've gone live sick also, because nothing can stop this girl from it heals me to speak to you. And that's what I want to bring you through, is that activating your voice isn't just so that you can become a better copywriter. it is incredibly healing and will affect the entirety of your life if you can really feel the depth of your expression moving through you, being channeled through you, the depths of your highest expression, the depths of the future stories that you want to tell, the depths of your guidance, your wisdom. And that comes through more naturally, and you're able to sell naturally when you connect to a deeper voice. If you are not attracting the amount of clients or the kinds of clients, then Edge and Embers is for you, because I can guarantee one of these four dimensions needs an uplift. And if it could be your writing. So if you're not a good writer, join me in Edge and Embers, because there is going to be a focus on writing, and not just copywriting, but storytelling through writing. And I am one of the minority. I started telling this and then we got lost in the tangential. Was that the word? We got lost in a tangent. But I am the minority where I write better than I speak, because of the story that I was telling. Like, I've been writing um forever. Yes, I've also been speaking forever. Like, I've been a gabber and a talker all my life, but I really love writing, and writing has shaped my voice. But there are many people who, and my clients, so I'll ask them to speak, and then I even have some strategies, like I'll ask them to speak into their voice note or their like voice to text, and then they're going to get a clue in of where the gaps are in their writing voice, from the way that they speak and the way that they write, and we can compare those two things. And in my school, I check my clients' writing, I check my clients' posts, their sales pages. And you can also join at the school level if you'd like. And then you get 6 months, so you get the next live curriculum after Edge and Embers. The Edge and Embers is only 3 weeks, because I'm scheduled to teach a live program on launching called Rhythm, Ritual, and Resonance after the 3 weeks are through. But I wanted to offer something to my students already in the school and open it up to anybody who just wants to activate their voice, or if you also want to launch your programs with this activated voice using my methods of ritual, rhythm, and resonance, then join at the school level. It's only $250 a month. I just require a 6 month commitment and devotional if you're going to join at the school level. So keep that in mind. But you may be, and we can discuss that if you join Edge and Embers. Are you someone who writes better than you speak? And you can let me know now. Do you write better than you speak? Are you more confident in your writing voice, or are you more confident in your speaking voice? And either way, we want both activated, because nowadays, if you're just writing, you like, how are you, is anybody really going to see the way that you show up in your containers if you're hiding that behind a paywall? You've got to start going out there and creating an event, what we call in the launch world a conversion event, a launch vehicle. A launch vehicle, toot toot, could be a boat, could be a storytelling boat, but a place where people can come and build that know, love, and trust initiation fast. But I also do this in a book. So when I go and launch Rhythm, Ritual, and Resonance, I'm putting the upgrades on. This is the second year I've launched this particular offer. And so now this is very beautiful. I'm just re-looking at my launch sequence. I'm re-looking at the book I wrote and making those upgrades. But I also love the creative aspects of branding. And I updated the book cover, which I teach all of this in my school. If you want to upgrade your brand, I have an entire 8-week program filmed live called The Iconic Rebrand, and you rebrand through your natal chart. So the school is really where it's at if you want all of the things that you need to be able to build a business that positions you for $50,000 months and beyond. That's really what we're doing in the school. And that's my promise in the school, that every aspect are the things that you need. But one aspect that you truly, truly need is an activated voice. Because if you if you have really beautiful tools, wisdom, if you have really amazing offerings, if you have a service that people can really use, even if you sell a product. So, Edge and Embers is even for folks who want to tell better stories because they have a brick and mortar business and they want to be able to uh, bring people to it through reels and writing. Amazing. If you are a creative online, then Edge and Embers is for you because you need to be able to speak about your work in a way that conveys the true value, in an energy that conveys the true value. So you only need two things to artfully fill up your offer, and that's the energy and the words. And so this is what we're focusing on at Edge and Embers. And if you're not a good writer, become a better one. So the next question is, how honest is too honest when I'm telling personal stories? This is such a great question because you do not want to trauma dump on the internet. I believe me. Folks come to me and they're like, okay, so one of your messaging content pieces in your legacy content method is telling a vulnerable story. And so then they start crying, which is beautiful. Tears, every tear is a paycheck. You're probably going to cry inside of Edge and Embers, hearing people's stories and telling your deeper stories for the first time. Crying is not the problem, but we want you to be able to tell the story that is going to position you as a leader of transformation. So, for example, like I am not a relationship coach, so I do not need to be honest about the heinous date I went on 2 weeks ago. I could, for entertainment purposes, talk about that, and I may lean into that in the future. But during a launch, and there are ways, like there are ways to tell a story, and it's called how is this like that? How is this like that? And we'll be diving deeper into this in Edge and Embers. But how is this like that? How is that date related to the transformation that I help people to create? Because I don't help people to date. I help people to activate their voice, share a message, and have a convicted presence online so that they can attract more and better clients who just can't believe that you exist, right? And how is this like that? Okay. Like if I'm attracting men who don't see my value, then certainly I may be attracting people on the internet that don't see my value. Amazing. Okay. This could be like that. And that's how I could go and tell that story. But folks are just kind of going out there and looking to be honest instead of looking to be deep. And not everything deep needs to be heavy. Not everything deep needs to feel heavy. So, folks, when they first come to me, they're looking for the most vulnerable story. Then they tell that most vulnerable story. Then they have a vulnerability hangover. And this is why they don't want to go back online for another month. And this is killing your sales. We want you to be able to tell the stories that are going to activate your clients' movement. So you don't have to tell every story right now if you're not ready. And being an Edge and Embers could get you ready if there is a story that you know you want to tell, but you're not ready to tell it. If you know it would make an impact in somebody's life. And so it's really about curating the stories that are going to show the parts of you that you feel are too much, that you feel are not related, but are completely related. And I'm going to be able to see what you're unable to see and help you distinguish if this is you hiding or if this is you protecting a part of your heart that just doesn't need to be shared in order to get clients. And there is a difference. There is a difference. So I want you to join Edge and Embers so that you just don't think that if you go and tell you empty out all the skeletons in your closet, that you're going to get clients. There's a nuanced way, because sharing stories and sharing your story actually isn't about you. And so it's not a place to receive therapy. And if you're getting clients that pity you, or that are like, wow, you shared your story, and they're not sharing their own story with you, they're pitying you or asking you to work with them, saying, hey, you shared that story and you need my program. I can guarantee that you're telling the story in a way that you could shift your presence, your energy, and the way that you're telling that story, so that even if it does bring up a tear in you and it is vulnerable and you are showing emotions, which is a very beautiful quality, it's not repelling clients or attracting those hawks that are now selling to you in the DMs, because ain't nobody got time for that. So let's see. Let's pull another question. I want to go for another 10 minutes. Um, so I answered the question, what if my story is still messy and unresolved? Can I still share it? Yes, I would come inside of Edge and Embers, because you're going to be witnessed by a group of wonderful women. So my students inside my school, they usually it requires a 6 month commitment, but they usually stay enrolled for multiple years. Because why, when you've found somebody that you connect with, that knows your business personally and starts to give you personal and deep advice, because we have office hours. It's not just once a week that you meet with me. We have office hours Monday through Thursday, where I'm giving full on personal voice note transmissions to your challenges, to your questions. And so a lot of my clients stay with me for years, because that's the depth of our connection and resonance. Um, and you don't have to, but I do require a 6 month devotional, a commitment, because your business requires your devotion. And if you are starting and stopping, then the 6 month commitment can help you become that person that imbue that quality in you that you need for success. You can't keep starting and stopping if you want clients, because they see it too, right? So, in a continuous creative flow state, you're going to share stories and become that leader. Even if you have never started and stopped and you're like, consistency is my whole jam, it's what I teach on, good, wonderful. You still want to activate your voice in a way that's towards your edge. So I also have clients like the Emmy Award winning actress, folks who are hilarious online, folks who have written books, who are authors, who are want to be authors, folks who speak on stages. I work with extraordinary humans, and they have a creative edge. So there is a story that doesn't feel safe to share, but they know that if they create safety in their body to share it, it is going to bring them to their edge. And your best results are on the edge of what you're comfortable with now. So if you've been cruising, but you've been going on a little income dip, it's time to come to your edge. And I intend to bring you there. And you will be witnessed by other beautiful humans. So there are already folks that are inside this mini mind, that are going to be able to give you feed forward. They're going to be able to give you their presence. And that's quite beautiful. And you're going to hear their stories as well. And it's going to be this beautiful fireside circle where we're going to witness and be witnessed in deeper storytelling. And whether you never go out and tell this story, or you decide to go on a podcast tour or write a whole book about the story, we're going to let the magic unfold. And what wants to move in this container will be moved. Okay. What wants to move will be moved. And what doesn't want to move yet, what's not ready to move yet, what wants to remain messy will remain messy. And you'll have that opportunity to show up messy, and to see if showing up messy online could be the thing that brings you to your edge. If you've shown up perfect and polished and just like, here are my 3 steps to whatever it is that I teach on, and you are showing up in a perfect ChatGPT copywriting way, then the invitation is to show up messy. The invitation is to tell the story before it's perfectly curated in your book. The invitation is to get that down draft, your shitty first draft, down on the page, because that is how you write a book. So I wrote a memoir called The Monk, the Mushrooms, and the Toad. And it is a very different process from writing content, because content, I am writing every day, I'm sharing every day, and I'm not perfecting my grammar, and I'm not trying to make the story just right. I want to dance between volume and telling great stories. And that's just the way that it is with content. Nothing about my content is perfect. And that's wonderful, because I'd rather be anything other than perfect, because perfect is boring and boring doesn't attract clients. So, but my book is not perfect. If you read it, you'll probably find grammar mistakes, but a book requires a shitty first draft, and your content might require a shitty first draft. It's just it's going to be a faster process. Like, you don't want to. I spent 5 years writing this book. You don't want to spend 5 years perfecting the craft of story writing before you share content, because that's 5 years of money that you've just given to somebody with less wisdom and talent than you, because your clients are not going to wait for you to be ready. They are going to hire somebody else. So your soul aligned clients are not waiting for you to tell better stories. They're hiring people that already are. So Edge and Embers is for you if you want to dance between having that practice, being witness, telling the story that you don't think you can tell, getting that feedback from other wise and beautiful creators and myself, and going out there and attracting better clients and more clients. So I've here's a question that really touched me. I've changed so much. How do I talk about the new version of me without sounding fake? So, this idea of sounding fake, I wanted to talk about this because a lot of people think that when they go on stories or when they go live, that they sound different than what they do in their everyday life. So I want to give you permission to sound different than what you do in your everyday life. Because when I am chilling with my friends, having a bevy with my friends, going on a hike with my girls, I do not sound like I am teaching to them or leading to them. The last thing I want to do with my friends is teach them something that they didn't fucking ask. And giving unsolicited advice to friends and family, I'm sure, has gotten you in trouble before. If you're a gabber like me, if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, if you're a natural born leader, your friends don't give a shit. And they don't want to be preached to, and they don't want to be talked at, and they don't want advice unless they've asked for it or you've asked, hey, do you want me to just hold space, or do you want some advice? So if they're coming to you for advice and they've asked and you're willing, amazing. But I even talked to one of my friends who was like, yeah, my friends are going to have to start paying me for relationship coaching, because I have come out as a relationship coach now, and I don't have time to be giving relationship advice, and people don't take it for free. So you're also wasting your breath, and your energy gets to be focused on you and cultivating your next era voice for your audience. And when I come online, my shoulders drop back, my spine grows longer. It's like when I taught yoga, I'm not going to go in front of my yoga students and be hunchbacked. Like, I'm going to have the correct posture, and I'm going to teach. And my teacher voice, and I've been told this before, my teacher voice is so much different than my voice when I'm whining to my potential boyfriends, because in relationship and with my with my daddies, with my the men in my life, I'm baby. I'm not trying to lead the men in my life. No, I am baby. I need support. I need help. I get whiny and they think it's cute. If they don't, then they're not the right men in my life. And this is very beautiful. I've activated this from my work with existential kink and kink itself. And I am just not going to look at a man and teach to them. Gross. So it is authentic for me to go online and have my heart open, have my chest open, be dropped in my voice. And it would be inauthentic for me to come online and whine like I do in some other scenarios. So the stage is its own beast. And I wrote about this in my book, The Beast of the Stage. The stage as its own energy, frequency, and field. And so when you step on that stage, it is authentic to have a presence that is confident, convicted in the power of your work. It is authentic for your voice to drop in a way that you wouldn't maybe have it drop to your kids. If you're reading a children's story, this is like, know your audience, right? And your clients are not your children, and your clients are not your boyfriend, and your clients are not your potential boyfriend. And your audience, if you're really desiring to have your presence attract clients, it is authentic to have a voice that is reserved for when you're in your leadership mode, when you're in your storytelling mode. When I'm talking to my friends, I like gab, 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 gab. And when I'm talking to my friends who like, and when I'm seeking advice or when I'm complaining or whining about something, like it's just a different vibe. And I don't expect them to hire me, or nor do I want to lead them in any sort of way. I'm asking for advice. So it is appropriate and authentic to move into different energies, and the stage will require a certain presence. It would be like saying it was okay for me to go. I performed a couple of months ago on stage with my looper. I sang my original songs, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me. Like I really get frustrated actually when performers, especially if they're being like if they're hired, are like, oh no, like let me no, no. My insides when I was performing on stage were shaking. I was like, oh my God, this is such another beast. Singing on stage is a whole other beast. And I've had my waves with stage fright, but I hadn't really sang on stage in a while. So, and the stage was really high up. So it was like all sorts of nerves were coming in. I don't get nervous when I go live anymore. I don't get nervous when I write. I don't get nervous when I do a master class for my people, but I got nervous when I was singing new songs on stage. And so nerves are going to come, and they're probably going to come for your next ever stories or your next ever um, presentation of your voice. And oh my God, I was nervous. But when I got off stage, people did not know. And that is intentional. If I messed up, nobody knew. I just kept on going. Like, and you will mess up, and you will stutter over your words. You will say something like, where was I do this all the time in my school, online. I'm like, where was I? And sure, I have notes to try to get me back to where I was, but like, where was I? And people just feel like that's authentic, and that's okay. That's okay online. That's okay in when you're teaching. That's quite beautiful. If you want to go on a TED talk, I would be practicing this story. I wouldn't be going like, where was I? If you have 3 minutes on stage, and like a reel, same thing. Like, this is why I love lives and long form content, because you get a bit of that authenticity. You get to see me when I mess up, when I fumble my words, when I say and all of that is quite connective. And this is why I love live and long form content again. um but like on a reel, you got 90 seconds. So I'm not trying to like fumble over my words. And so, depending on what kind of content you want to create, also we'll be diving into the different presentations of the voice. And when I'm going on stories and I got a minute to tell you a message, then I practice beforehand. I write down what it is that I want to say. And I'm so in tune with my own channel that sometimes it does come across on one go. And that's where I want to get you to so that you can save time. But the last thing I want to say before we close is if this is your mission, quit trying to save time all the time. Spend time activating your voice. Spend time in a room full of women who are telling stories and listening to your stories. Get inside a room. Spend your time in better places. Even when I'm watching TV, I love TV. I'm rewatching Girls, which was written and directed by Lena Dunham. And this female 24-year-old powerhouse, she's now writing a new Netflix show. When I'm watching TV, I'm watching for the writing. I'm listening for the art. Adam Driver, my favorite actor. I'm looking at the artistry in the TV. And so then I justify it as a good use of my time, but like I'm feeding two birds with one scone. I'm not just mind numbing sometimes, and you get to. I don't scroll without looking at how people are carrying themselves and deciding if I like that energy or not, and seeing the different ways that different facilitators are writing and showing up and sharing their voice and seeing the vibe of that and how that makes me feel. So I'm always extracting the value of life. And so I want to leave you with that. Where is stop trying to watch more TV, stop trying to work less. If this is your mission, then get inside the room where you're going to be ignited in your mission, where you're going to want to create more content, where you're going to want to have a longer live. And don't be afraid. This is, I know I've been on here for an hour. Don't be afraid to spend your time speaking to people. The right people will watch and listen. And if you want to learn and be facilitated in a way that allows you to carry somebody's attention for an entire hour, if your next era is to deliver a masterclass, a 3 day challenge, then you got to be somebody that somebody wants to pay attention to. And the way that you craft your words and craft this masterclass and hold your presence and command a stage is all going to do wonders for your business. You are going to attract more opportunities to speak on other stages, more opportunities to get in front of your right fit and ready to invest clients, and you're going to attract those clients. And that is where money comes from. Money comes from your ability to express the true value of your offering. And that expression also is in the way that you carry yourself, the way that you speak and write. And I cannot wait to see who wants to join Edge and Embers. I want to drop the link. I think it's been dropped. So, so happy to speak with you today, to have you in my world. And yeah, I don't take that for granted. You allowing me to speak into your life is such an honor. And I'll see you next week.